We alive. The quarantine again, man. Part 44. Cheers. We're on a late night special tonight. We're gonna talk about a lot. All right, yeah. We got Coop in here already. Easy. Yo, what's up? What's up? What up? My motivation 101. Coop. What's good, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? Hold on one second.
I'm doing all right, man. What's good, Chris? What's going on, man? Cheers. We're on the late night tonight. Coop, you there? Coop's gone. What's up, everybody in the room, man? We're gonna talk about these versus battles, man, and why certain battles didn't happen, and what's actually going on with Swiss Beats and Timbaland, and why they're actually controlling everything. How's everybody doing, man? Things getting somewhat back to normal in your areas? Peace. What's good, Chris, man? How you doing over there? South side of Atlanta? You got to call into the room too, man. Definitely. What y'all drinking tonight? How about that? Since we're on the late night tonight, I got me an old fashioned right here. You know what I'm saying? Made this thing with some Crown Royale. Got the orange bitters. Got the. Oh, let me see if Coop is. Let me get Coop back in the. Oh, whiskey sour. That's what I'm talking about. Trying to get Coop back into the room and said, let me in. Hold on. Let me try this again, Coop. I'm going to let you in. Boom. Add. It said it's waiting. It's calibrating or whatnot. All right. Connecting. All right. Cool. You there?
There we go. Okay.
All right. Cool, man. I don't know what happened, man. That was weird. That normally doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. What's going on? How are you, Mike?
I'm doing all right, man. How's your week been?
It's been busy. My nephew's in town. He's 6 weeks old. I just came from my mom's house to see him. Shout out to my nephew Judah, my brother Mike, his girl Brittany.
That's what's up, man. Well, congratulations to them. 6-month-old in the world. In this world of chaos right now, I'm sure that's tough for new parents, too.
It's different, you know?
Yeah? Is it their
Really
first
can't take
child?
your kid anywhere. Yeah, first kid. Yeah.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Well, it's a lot going on. Did you hear the Drake album yet?
I did. I was actually listening to it today while I was running a few errands I had to run.
It's good, man. I mean, it's good for, it's a Drake album, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like he went too far outside the box. I mean, I think that the D4L song with Young Thug and Future, it kind of caters more to what they're doing, but, it's a good song. Actually, I think it's the best song on the record, my favorite song on the album, but again, it's kind of their song, and Drake's kind of on it, and it's on Drake's project. But everything else, I mean, it's quality if you're a Drake listener.
It's really quality. That's how
Yeah.
I was feeling about the project. It was a quality project.
Because I don't really know. How do you rate something like that? I mean, I know you do reviews. I do reviews every now and then. But when an artist actually sits in their pocket and doesn't go too extreme to on the experimental level and doesn't go too far to exceed what they've done, how do you rate that? Is that just straight down the middle, 3.5 or 4 out of 5, or?
The album was very safe.
It is.
It's very safe, but so here's the problem with his level of success with an album like this is that there's nothing on this album that sticks out to you like the past things that he's done that have been big smashes. Like, do you see like any of his, like, how about this? He was making a greatest hits album, which at this point would probably have to be like a double disc. Would any of these records make it?
If one would, it would be the one that had I hate to say it like this because I don't know the name off top. I'm trying to think of it before I say it like this, but the one with the song Cry sample. And again, that's notable because of another song, honestly, and it's good,
Yeah, it's good.
I can't front. But we were actually going to go live last night and talk about, all right, there was a lot of plan changes, right? Because Bone and 3 6 was supposed to go on at 8 o'clock. And we were possibly, depending on how long that was going to take, going to actually go on live to kind of sum that up. But then that got rescheduled because, well, you know, I don't want to say whatever. Crazy Bone says that I guess him and Swiss Beats had a conversation or whatever, and Swiss Beats somehow is over Instagram whenever any artist wants to actually challenge another artist in their music, so he can actually chime in somehow and reschedule everybody's schedule somehow.
Right.
So yeah. So they're doing it under the Versus, which is under Instagram, and I don't see how any of that's different. And so they're rescheduling it, and then today Versus rolled out the whole thing with Jill Scott versus Erykah Badu, which I think is going to be a wash in the first place.
Hold on. Hey, you want to know what? I know this is like according to hip hop, but I want to touch on that briefly because I saw.
We will touch on that because Swiss Beats and Timberland are supposed to be over it, so we can correlate that to hip hop, yes. And in my mind, Erykah Badu's an MC, so whatever, we'll talk about it. But
I mean, Baduism is full of great freestyle tracks.
Right. And so, so it got postponed. DJ Paul said he was ready. Crazy Bone kind of was like, all right, I got a couple of theories about this. Crazy Bone was like, all right, well, they're going to reschedule it and they're going to do it bigger and better. That's what Swiss says. But this is an IG live. How much bigger and better can you do it? We saw what Teddy Riley did when he tried to do things bigger and better, and that was under the quote-unquote Versus thing, right? We saw what RZA and Premier did when RZA's sound was fucked up for the first 6-7 songs. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Let's not sit here and act like this is HD television here. Whatever they were going to do last night is going to be the same thing that they're going to do under this Versus thing. Now, I know DJ Paul did say the Swiss talked to Instagram and they're not going to cut them off after an hour like they do us. But they were cutting everybody else off after an hour. So that's not new.
So, I mean, who are you mad at most, Mike?
You know what? There's a lot to go around. I'm mad that it didn't happen because I grew up as a Bone fan and a 3-6 fan. I was actually looking forward to this. And I know most people out there probably weren't because people don't really rock with these groups like that. I did. You know what I mean? And I think it was a good matchup. But
you don't think people rock with those groups like that?
I think those groups have a very niche market and they have a hardcore following. It's not like a big mainstream following like what Swiss and them are going to try to get. Because even when that was put out there, and people were like, well, who wanted to see this anyway? The people that already knew about it. You know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I think that I have a lack of understanding of what this Versus thing is and how Swiss or whoever is going to improve someone's personal IG. It's not like it's going through some super amped up IG. It's still going to go through the artist's IG. You know what I mean?
I do question what is the benefit with doing it with Versus with Swiss as opposed to the way that they had already planned to have it done. I guess my biggest qualm with it is actually more so with the fact, Mike, that they came and canceled it or rescheduled it or whatever. However they want, whatever they did it super late. And I think for the fans that were looking forward to it, that was a big disappointment. And I think you kind of resided in that category. I was looking forward to it, but I can kind of like hear your disappointment about it. And it's like I dig it. So I guess my more high with like how organized is the whole Versus thing, and like where are they picking it from or pulling from? Like, are they sitting and consulting with other people, or Timberland and Swiss going back and forth? Like, there's a whole bunch of questions we have from it now.
All right, well, I'm gonna take it another route.
They've had enough runs of it now that it should kind of be more seamless than this at this point.
Exactly.
Like if y'all wanted to do Versus with 3-6 and Bone, y'all should have caught wind of it quicker.
They knew it was out there. Let's not act like you don't know what's going on. don't think it was just that though.
I think it was.
And again, the other thing is, it's not like when it goes under the verses, they're providing a certain level of sound quality that people can't achieve on their own. Anything that they're doing under this umbrella that we don't understand could be done with a person doing it on their own. We saw that with the Teddy Riley and Babyface. That even went awry. Even as the back and forth was going, it got to a point where Babyface was on his own, and then Teddy Riley was on his own. Let's not sit here and act like you guys are putting together something that's so organized that it's going to take it to the next level. Like, you talking about it's going to be bigger and better. What you mean? They already set time aside. Other people set time aside to watch this. And you sit here and wasted my evening. Yeah, I'm going to make it personal. You wasted my evening for something that's going to be the same shit when it actually comes forth. Now, I do think that there's another level of this. I think that DJ Paul is the undisputed leader of 3 6 Mafia.
Okay.
I never really looked at Crazy Bone as the leader. I've never really looked at anybody as the leader of Bone. It's weird.
Crazy. No, I kind of felt like it was Crazy.
Crazy was my favorite.
Well, Crazy was the guy that did most of the melodies of the hook, so it kind of like made it seem like he had more of a sway over the songs than the others. You felt like you heard more melodies and hooks more.
I think Crazy did a lot more work than everybody. I think everybody was kind of on the same page with Creeping on the Come Up at East 99, but when it came to Art of War, it seemed like Crazy kind of took a bulk of a lot of what was going on. But I've always...
he has a voice that the others didn't have, too. His voice is... He has a good voice. He has a dope rap voice.
Oh, he has a great voice. Great flow, everything.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's weird, though, unspoken-wise, I've always kind of looked at Lazy as the leader of Bone, right? And I found it very interesting that none of the Bone members were co-signing this battle. They weren't posting anything about it.
Okay, that's interesting.
They frequently post, like Lazy, Busy, and Flesh. I don't think Wish is on Instagram, but they all frequently post. None of them posted anything about this.
Nothing?
I don't know if they didn't well, it seems that they didn't co-sign this, and it was weird after the battle got canceled. Lazy made this post. What he said? Oh, yeah, he had a post. He had some outfit on or whatever, and it said General in Command. I was like, okay. This is exactly at 8 o'clock when the battle was supposed to take place. So it seemed like the rest of the group was like, yo, man, this doesn't represent us. Probably made a call. It's like, yo, man, stand down. I don't know.
Okay, so I have a few questions for you. And I mean, if you don't have the answers to them, like, that's cool, because I don't have the answers either, obviously, which is why I'm asking. Okay. Is there any sort of financial benefits being reaped from these versus battles?
That's a big question. I don't know. It seems like it would be the way people are talking. They're like, paperwork signed, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they're speaking figuratively.
Teddy Riley and Babyface, they broke that.
What's interesting, too, it has to be some monetary value involved, because what Timbaland did, I think Swiss did this, too. They were posting what Babyface and Teddy Riley's following was like before the battle and after, and they're posting before and after analytics.
So they're showing metrics and analytics, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you're showing metrics and analytics, then there's probably some monetary value involved here.
Why else would you be gauging it, Mike? Why else would you be gauging it?
But you know what? For a group like Bone, that kind of makes things a little bit more difficult, right? Where it's like, okay.
So who owns Bone's catalog? Does it belong to Ruthless Records?
Probably. But I think we saw this with Public Enemy, right? Who, where Chuck D does own the Public Enemy name. I think, let me not speak out of pocket, I believe he owns the Public Enemy name, and I believe he owns the logo, all that stuff. Even when he went out there with the Bernie Sanders benefit or whatever, he caught flack from the rest of his group members by using the group's name, and everyone in the group didn't agree on what was being done. I think this is a similar concept here, where it's like, look, we didn't sign off on this as a group. I mean, it could be petty, but you never know. Like, you never know
I
what
mean,
people stand in that.
it's petty, but it's not. You know what I mean? Because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something that has a legacy.
Also, man, and this is just my personal opinion. Love Bone, again, they're one of my favorite groups growing up. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and Triple Six too, I think Triple Six was going to drag them. That's just my prediction. And I think that it just wasn't a good matchup for Bone. And I know how people view Bone up here. I think that after this battle, if it ever happens, because I don't even know if it's going to happen.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
If Bone loses,
You
or
don't think it's gonna happen?
I don't know. Just based on what I just said and how I don't think the other group members are co-signing this, I'm not sure if it's actually going to happen. Because again, like you said, if Swiss was going to actually step in, this would have happened before 8 o'clock. Or maybe they did that just so they could get the attention of everybody who was already going to, chime in. But they could have done that another way too. All right, I'll put it this way. After this thing is over, I don't think people are going to view Bone as high as they already do. Triple Six has nothing to lose in this situation.
So that's what I'm saying. Like when you say like how people view Bone, how do people view Bone in your estimation?
Well, I mean, just from what I see and like, a lot of the conversations on According to Hip Hop, like I think I put a couple of weeks ago, not weeks ago, months ago, I think we put Triple Six against Bone because I thought it was a good matchup. We had all talked about it, thought it was a good matchup. They blew Triple Six out the water. Wasn't even close. I want to say it was somewhat like almost 70. No. I think it was somewhere around like 70-something% to like 30-something%. People hold Bone Thugs and Harmony very, very high, and I think that when it's nostalgic, I think, and not to say that they didn't make great music, they did. I think that a lot of stuff that Triple Six has contributed to the game, people kind of forget about because they constantly had to change. When Bone was hot, they were hot, like they were on top of the game, and they worked with Big, Pac, Easy, everything.
See, that's the thing. When you say like on top of the game, that's why I was asking you, what's your estimation of them, or what's the viewpoint of them as being like high in the game? Because it's like I really, really like Bone, but they weren't here like really like that long in terms of like.
You're right. I mean, we just saw that like not too long ago. What was that, like 2018, when the Migos were out here talking about they were the greatest rap group ever? Look who poked their head out. Boom. And they were saying it. And then they had people that backed that.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Mike. I didn't pay that any mind.
A lot of people did, and they felt like, yeah, Bone's the GOAT, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I like Bone a lot. But like you said, I mean, can we be honest? Bone's run is a good 95 to 97.
I mean,
94. No. Thuggish Ruggish Bone was 94. 94 to 97.
Hold on. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like Creeping on a Come Up is like a 6 or 7 song EP, more or less, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And East 1999's like 16 tracks.
Yep.
Most of their great work is in those 23, 24, 25 songs, Mike.
I agree, because I feel like Art of War, I liked a few records on Art of War, but as a whole, I'm not a huge Art of War fan.
Me neither. That's how I feel about Art of War too. There are some records on there that I really enjoy, but it's about 4 or 5 records.
Resurrection wasn't bad, but I think that hip hop was in a different place in 99, was it? 99, early 2000s. Go ahead.
So let me try to contextualize something for you, if I may. Most of their quality, like their great material, the stuff that they're known for and revered for in this manner that you're telling me about, most of that comes from Creeping on a Come Up in East 1999, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's about 22, 23, 24, 25 records. Like, Mike, that's about how long Life After Death is.
I agree with you, bro. And that's why I was telling people, like, this isn't really going to be a great matchup.
but so when you're telling me that they're that all-time great, it's like, do I think they were really great? Yes. Do I think they were really great for their era? Yeah. But like all-time great, it's like I don't know about that. It's like if I would like, are they in your top 10 rap groups of all time? Either one of these groups?
Triple Six is.
Where would
I
you
have
have
to.
six?
I have to think about Bone, but Triple Six is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where?
but I would have to think
Because
about Bone.
hold on, because Mike, I mean, in my mind, I'm already thinking to myself. I know you personally. You have Wu Tang, Outkast, UGK, and Goody Mob already in there, and Tribe. So that's 5 slots already, correct?
I don't know if I. I know it's gonna sound crazy. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I got UGK and Goody Mob over Triple Six and what they've done as a totality. I got to think about it. Now, I would say my
Really?
top groups. Yeah, my top groups. I would say
Hold on, hold
PE.
on, hold on, hold
All right, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say PE. I mean that's the first one I can think of.
on. I agree.
Tribe, Cass,
I
De
agree.
La. Um,
Maybe,
De La. De
maybe.
La.
We're
De
gonna
La's catalog is
hold
crazy.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. It's the same way that I feel about Jay, like with the whole big thing. It's like, yeah, I love De La. Tribe does it a little better.
I think that De La was more consistent than Tribe album for album. I think what Tribe did better than De La was make hit songs. I think
I
that
mean, like they really didn't have a hit record till Award Tour. That was album number 3. I don't necessarily agree with that. Me, myself, and I.
Bonita
That's
wasn't
about
a
second
hit.
album. That's
Bonita
not a
wasn't.
big hit, Mike. That's not a big hit. You think it's a big hit?
It's an impactful record. It
It's not
is.
bigger than Me, Myself, and I. No.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know.
Poll.
Maybe I'm
Hey,
not old.
poll it. That's a
I'm not
great
old
poll.
enough to really quantify
Me,
that.
I was about to say. I was about to say me neither. You should poll that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know,
Bonita
man. I
Applebaum
mean,
versus Me, Myself, and I. Have you ever polled that before?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure just off of name recognition, Tribe would probably win, but
You don't know that.
I don't know that. Yeah, I've just, followed the patterns of people for a while. But I will say this.
Heard.
People sleep on De La, man, and their impact. Now,
I
I
didn't.
will say NWA is up there for me, too.
Hold on. So how many do you have some more? So we have Cass, PE, NWA, Tribe, De La. So that's 5, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Huh. I don't have the Fugees there, and I love the
No.
Fugees.
I mean, they
They
made
could
one
have
great album though. They made one great album. She made one great solo album.
they could
That's
have done
that's
so much more.
Mike next.
Yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful when we talk about like Run DMC or whatever. I mean, their
Yeah,
impact is what it is. But if we're talking about my favorite groups,
yeah, yours.
I guess you would have to put Run DMC in the top 10 or
Is,
whatever.
hold on. Let me ask you a legitimate question. Do you play Run DMC?
I do. I do.
Okay,
Not
okay. The reason
often,
I'm
but
asking.
I do. I do.
Okay, if it's
You know,
part,
I was
if it's in
playing.
rotation, if it's run in rotation, I'm not gonna hate
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I mean, man, I do love UGK, man. I guess I would. It's tough,
I
man.
just,
We talk
I,
UGK's up. Yeah, UGK's over Triple Six.
okay,
Goody
because I just
Mob,
lean,
man. I don't know, man.
I lean towards the MCs, Mike, and it's like that's Bun B and Pimp C.
And they put in the work. But you know what? After a while, I stopped just looking at the skill set. Because if you look at the skill set, you look at somebody like the Fugees, incredible skill set. But you gotta look at the work too. Um,
You got Mobb Deep.
yeah, got Mob Deep. They made some of the greatest hip hop records ever.
They did.
EPMD has to be in there.
No, they
And
don't. Hold on. Back up. No, 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 no.
I got EPMD over Bone.
I do too, but I don't have them like over daylight. I literally the only
No, I
people
don't
that
have
you
them
name.
over Daylight.
Hold on. The only people that you've named that I have them over would be Bone.
How do you feel about the Locks as a group? I know Locks are one of those few groups where we separate as individuals when we think about the Locks as a collective.
That's what
How do they rank as a group?
as a group all time. They're
As a
gonna
group.
fall. They're gonna fall outside of the top 10 most likely, but as a group, the 3 of them. but they're going to fall somewhere at 10 to 20 just because of skill alone. The skill alone is too hard to ignore. Like, how
I
about
would
this? How about this? They're more skilled than Mobb Deep, but they haven't made better classic albums or better classic
no.
songs. But they're
Yeah,
not as skilled.
Mobb Deep is over them by far, man. I mean, I
Exactly.
think
That's what I'm saying.
Mobb Deep's run is one of the better runs ever in hip hop, and we can't ignore that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very understated. I think it's the material and like the darkness of the material, but it didn't change like the brilliance of it. Like
Well, let me ask you this:
their first three albums are brilliant.
do you put duos and groups in that same category?
I do.
Okay, all right. So Redman and Method Man are there.
No. I mean, that was never. Was that ever really a group? Is that a group?
It's a group. They got albums together. They got albums together.
So you're saying Meth is on there twice? Because I know you have Wu-Tang on this list.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's be fair. Since we're talking about the Lox and not their separate works, we have to, I mean, even if we boil the clan down to just the Wu-Tang albums, they still rank. But I think there's no way that people can actually think about Wu-Tang and their ranking as an all-time group without thinking about the individual solo efforts. And we can't count those. We're talking about the group collectively.
Yeah, but you want to know what? Here's almost how I feel. If Only Built for Cuban Links isn't as great and as awesome of an album as it is, we would probably be talking about Enter the Wu-Tang that way. It's that kind of record.
Right.
And how about this? Of all the group records, I think the only record that is more important, not better than, but more important, is It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, or maybe Niggas for Life. But as far as better, that might be the best group album ever. Yeah.
You know what, man? It came out
it
came out the same day as Midnight Marauders. I feel you with the impact.
It's better than Midnight Marauders.
Midnight Marauders isn't even Tribe's best album. I think Low End Theory is.
Me too.
Low End Theory is.
Most people feel Midnight Marauders, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, when I listen to both of those, because we celebrate it every year, November, forgot the date, but we celebrated every year the date that both of those albums came out. And I listened to both of those albums side by side, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'd rather listen to Midnight Marauders. But again, it's because of how polished it is. And again, we're quantifying someone's third effort with someone's raw, rough first effort. And I guess it depends on what you want to hear.
There was something raw and rough to the effort. That's part of what. It felt dirty. It felt dirty.
I get that. I get that. Like, but a polished tribe is a polished tribe, man. All right. Now let me ask you this. Like, okay, so where does Dog Pound fit in all this? 8 Ball and MJG.
Ooh, I mean, I think Dog Pound kind of like suffers from the same thing that the Lox does. It's like really good material, but not great material, and not necessarily enough material has the group.
I got you.
Corrupt's more known as an MC, and Daz is more known as a producer than they are known as the Dog Pound outside of on the West Coast.
Yeah. 8 Ball and MJG.
Yeah.
8 Ball and MJG.
Yeah.
What about 8 Ball and MJG?
Oh, what about them?
Where do you put them?
Okay, I mean, personally, how about this? I still think Bun B is one of the 5 best MCs that ever came out of the South. And, like, I love Bun B. And I love, like, Pimp's melodies and hooks and production. But I just prefer to listen to 8 Ball and MJG more than I prefer to listen to UGK. That's just personally.
You know, this is how I feel in that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I like UGK better as a group because maybe it's the voice dynamic, but I will say this. I think Coming Out Hard is by far the best album to come out between the two of those groups. Coming Out Hard is something else, man.
No, Mike. Big disagreement. I'm actually the 8 Ball and MJG fan, and I'll tell you the best album between the two of those is Riding Dirty. And it's actually not close. I actually think
Riding so?
Dirty. I actually think yes.
We should poll that. I
Poll
want to
that.
poll that like
Poll
now,
that.
like.
Riding Dirty's better than Coming Out Hard. Poll that. Yeah.
Nah, man. Coming Out
Yes, it
Hard is one
is.
of my favorites. Period.
Riding Dirty.
Well,
Hold
all
on.
right. Since we're putting
Ooh, I'm
duos with
surprised you said that. I haven't heard somebody. Okay. I mean, I love
this,
Coming Out Hard, but I mean, better than Riding Dirty?
yeah, yeah. For me, yeah, it's not even close, really. And I mean, I love UGK. And I
I
like.
love
I
A-Ball and
think UGK
MJG.
is the better group.
I just told you overall, I prefer A-Ball and MJG over UGK, but if we're talking one album, it's Riding Dirty by UGK.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of Coming Out Hard. Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
by
big fan
far
of
my
Riding
favorite
Dirty.
because they sounded totally different on that album, and it was kind of like when when Scarface made Mr. Scarface is Back.
Back.
That was a whole different sound than anything he'd ever done in his career.
Nobody had ever really actually heard that before, period.
Yeah, and anything after that doesn't sound anything like that. And that's the same thing with 8Ball and MJG. Like Coming Out Hard sounds totally different than anything they did after that.
That's fair.
Yeah, it sounds like a real underground Memphis album, and then they just went and did like the tracks were different. How do you feel like Clips fits in all this? Do you put, since we're putting like duos right there with big groups, would you put Clips over Bone Thugs and Harmony?
Yes, like Clips has more classic albums than most of the people that you're naming. And I'm surprised that you don't have Goody Mob higher because Goody Mob has a classic album and a second album that I feel is a borderline classic, if not a classic. Don't you feel that way?
Listen, man, I think Soul Food is the
So
second best hip hop album in the history of Atlanta, Georgia,
I don't agree with that, but
next
it's
to Kumina.
third or fourth. But no, I still think Southern Playalistic is better than Soul Food.
I'm not mad at that. I'm okay with that. What's the other one you think?
No, Aquemini Southern Playalistic than Soul Food, like that order.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna totally debate
that's
that
what I'm saying.
one.
Like even when you say Soul Food, like how about this? The production arrangement on Soul Food is better than the production arrangement on Southern Playalistic.
You know what I loved about Soul Food was the fact that it really wasn't about who was the better rapper, and you really don't have that dynamic in like 4-man groups. It was about, I want to hear his perspective on his mom. I want to hear his story. You're sitting there waiting for each guy to tell their perspective on each respected topic. You know what I mean?
Well, there was that, but you had heard them on Outkast's first album, and CeeLo identified himself early on Get Up, Get Out as somebody who was on par lyrically with Dre and Big Boy. So I think that album has a togetherness because that notion's kind of already dispelled before it comes on there. Like he is the better MC and like everybody knows that, but he still works beautifully within the cohesion of the group on that album.
Now,
Like Goody Bag's the only time he really takes the stage and really like shows out.
That's true. I do agree with you on Get Up, Get Out that CeeLo had the best verse. But I also think that Gipp had a Gipp's verse and Dre's verse is very close on there. It's not a wash.
I don't agree.
Gipp's verse on there is epic. Gipp doesn't even sound like Gipp on there.
I mean, I love Gipp. I told you, Gipp's my favorite follow on the gram. I love Gipp.
I love Gipp too, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gipp.
Yeah, shout out to Gipp. Like, no, for real. I love Gipp, everything that he's doing, how motivational he is to the people, all that. But like no, like Mike CeeLo's just like for me when I listen to like Soul Food, it's like I knew CeeLo was the better MC like walking in anyway because hearing all of them on Southern Playalistic, I'm like, oh, that's the guy with the lyrics. But he's still working with the group and they all sound good together and it kind of like blends well. And their like heavy country baritones kind of go with like his high nasal rasp. You know what I mean? It like it fit, it made sense, and it fit real well within the confines. And him on a lot of the hooks and church hymns, it was all perfect.
Yeah, he was the perfect additive to that group. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anybody who added that element to a group in the way he did. I mean, I guess technically the Fugees were out first, but I don't feel like Lauren really flexed that muscle until the score. I think
Goody's
Blunted on Reality, they were more of a rap group. You know what I mean?
see, I don't think that's fair because I think Goody Mob outside of CeeLo can still give you quality records. I don't think just Wyclef and Pras can do that.
But no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like I think CeeLo for the first time. I'm trying to think of a group before Goody Mob where they had a member who was kind of doubling as the vocalist on the hooks and rhyming, and was taking on both of those shares. Because I feel like Lauren was doing that more on the score than she was on Blunted on Reality.
Definitely,
You know what I mean?
But that was a concerted effort, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So CeeLo was probably the first person to really do that.
See, but that's what I mean. There was something organic about how he did it that still fit well within the confines of the group. It's like, oh, no, it makes sense, you know?
It was innovative. It really was. Did you hear his Drink Champs, or did you watch his Drink Champs where CeeLo was saying that Gipp was supposed to be the star of Goody Mob?
I can totally see that.
I can see that too, man.
To be honest with you, it's like CeeLo has a personality, but it's like if you listen to Gipp and like hear Gipp talk and like yeah, I can totally see it. It's like Gipp's a star, really.
Everything he was doing with the wardrobes back then, because everybody talks about Dre and the Badu effect. Gipp was doing that stuff before any of that. And Gipp married Joy Bryant. Like, come on, man.
Like, Gipp is very, very instrumental in the Dungeon family's history on a lot of levels. Music, things like.
Yeah. I think he was getting set up really well for a solo career too. Like, Black Ice, where it was just him and Cass, that ended up being a single. He had the Serving song that was on the Shaft soundtrack. He was doing at that time, he was doing a lot of collaborations with people who were outside of Atlanta.
Like I said, I follow him on Instagram. He just did something not too long ago. He just shot a video and everything. I thought, Gipp dope. Yeah.
I think Gipp had one of the best flows ever in the history of the city. I think Gipp, I got to give T.I. props on that too, man. T.I.'s flow at certain points is incredible.
I love Gipp's flow because he finds his way on the beat with his draw so effortlessly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, that's kind of how I looked at Soul Food, right? It was more one of those things where it was like, it's my turn to talk about this subject at hand. And that's what the magic was with that. I liked Still Standing. I know a lot of people hold Still Standing super high.
I do. I hold it in high regard.
Huh?
I hold it in high regard. Not like Soul Food, but it's a great record. It's a great follow-up record, I think.
It is a great follow-up record. No disappointment. And you got to think of
what disappointing. You're not disappointed. No. Yeah.
You got to think of where hip-hop was at the time, too, because that dropped in 98. And this is after Pac, Big, all them, passed, and everything was kind of in transition. World Party, you know what?
No, don't even.
I didn't like it when it dropped. And
because it's not good.
I listen to it now, and it's not as bad as what I remember, right?
Yes, it is. It's
not. No, not for me. I was listening to Cujo talk about it. I think he did a Vlad interview, and they talked about World Party, and he hates the fact that people don't even consider World Party. He said he liked World Party. He said, you know what? We were traveling the world. We got tired of, being the group that was quote unquote socially conscious or whatever. We wanted to have some fun. We wanted to let loose.
No. I dig that. When you do it well. Next.
I don't think World Party is. You know what? If there is really a knock on World Party for the most part, I say the production wasn't what we were used to.
Definitely not. But how about this? How about this? Soul Food is a classic. Still Standing is a great album. The drop off from Still Standing to World Party is a very noticeable gap.
It is.
And it doesn't. And I was about to say all those things you're talking about. I'm going to tell you the main reason that I don't like the album. The main thing that makes them work to me is that organic, just natural, cohesive feel that I'm talking about. And World Party doesn't feel that way. You can feel the cohesion on the first two albums. That feeling's not there on World Party. It doesn't feel together.
You could tell everyone didn't agree with the approach. that was probably the brainchild of 2 or 3 or 1 member, whatever, but everybody wasn't on the same page with that.
Uh,
Maybe Organized wasn't on the same page. I do think that the
did
fact that
Organized produce that? I thought they kind of went
they
outside
they
Organized
produced, yeah,
production.
they had other producers for the
They had
first
other
time,
producers for the first
and but they did
lot of
some
it.
of it. This is during the time where Organized had that deal with Interscope, and they were working with Cool Breeze and
Yeah.
Witch Doctor, and most of their attention was more so on their artists that they had an Interscope deal with, other
Hey,
than the LaFace artists.
hey, guess what? Witch Doctor and Cool Breeze albums are better than World Party too.
It is that I will give you.
Like, hey, I've always wondered, like when I've heard Creatine, I've always wanted to hear a Creatine remix with Goody Mob on it. Doesn't that seem like a beat that's perfect for Goody?
Why wasn't there any remixes for any of the Cool Breeze stuff, man?
I love Breeze album.
I love Breeze album.
Me
I
too.
think the Breeze album is the first trap music album in
Yes,
Atlanta.
yes.
I
That's the
think
introduction to
Ti,
trap music.
all
Creatine's the
respect to
introduction to trap
Ti,
music.
Ti took that trap music and actually made a brand out of it, put a name to it, and all that. But I think that the approach definitely comes from East Point's greatest hits. Come on,
I mean, he came up with Dirty South. If I'm
Cool
not
Breeze is an
mistaken,
innovator.
Big Boy is the first person I ever heard say trap. Actually,
Cool Joe's the first one I heard say trap.
when I was out in the trap on Thought Process, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
You
about.
might be right, but see,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like even like think about it. Like even all that talk that everybody's talking now, that came from Cast and Goody.
came from them.
It came from
They
them.
came with everything. They
That's what I'm
created
saying.
everything.
That's so, Mike. So when we was having that conversation, I don't even know 3-4 weeks ago, and it's like, oh, people don't know Outkast. It's like, oh, the hell you say? How you not
Yeah,
gonna know
man.
Cast and Goody? You out here
They
talking
create,
crap?
but you know what? They're so humble about everything that they created, and I think that
Dirty
it just
South, Mike. Dirty South. Think about it. They created all this,
there
Mike.
were like Dirty South sections in the CD stores and stuff. You know what I
Mike,
mean? But
They literally created all this. They
they
created the
created all
ideas, the
this,
thoughts. This is all like the whole
even
Atlanta
little
rap
stuff
scene.
like Hootie Hoo.
That's what I mean. The whole Atlanta rap scene is their doing.
Mm-hmm.
The
They create.
entirety of it.
They create. Listen, all right. I'll take it a step further, and I don't think Ti would even deny this. I've heard him say on his podcast, I want to say it was in his interview with Jermaine Dupri. And I've always known this, but he's never said it. So you can't really, make it official until somebody actually says something. But he said, off of I'm Serious, the one song that was catching fire was Dope Boys in the Trap.
Yes.
And he's like, yo, that's what they want to hear? Then let me take this to the next level. He made trap music.
Yes.
I always felt like Dope Boys in the Trap, that song, came from that C-Bone line off of Gangsta Shit off the Outkast album.
Yes. Dope Boys in the Trap like a stack of dough.
It is what it is.
Beats come around. Yeah.
It is what it is. That's where it comes from.
I mean, hold on. First of all, I love T.I., and I've always looked at T.I. like as the transitional figure in the Atlanta music rap scene from Outkast and Goody Mob into currently what we have. He's that transitional figure to me. So he's very important to this rap scene and its history, and he's a great MC in my estimation.
And he's very appreciative to the people that came before him, and he always gives people props.
He is.
Came before.
And you got to think, like, he came up around like Killer Mike, Bone Crusher. Like, I feel like that was all that time. You know what I'm saying? Like people forget, like he was low man on the totem pole and like on the Chitlin circuit. Like he worked his way.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you and I know, right? Like this is when niggas was doing showcases and stuff like that, right?
Right. That's what I mean. I mean, he worked his way up.
T.I. changed the whole climate in Atlanta. I saw people from jumping around on stage like Pastor Troy and yelling at the top of their lungs like Lil Jon to slowing their flow down and actually trying to rap. And T.I. did that.
Yes, I agree.
T.I. did that.
I think what T.I. and Jeezy did with their followings was really special down here.
Yeah, T.I., you know what? I think that there are Man, there are a few movements in Atlanta history that, you know, can't really be matched. I would say what Pastor Troy did when he came through like a whirlwind. And I would say when Jeezy came through.
I was about to say, Mike, if we just talking about like, if we're talking about like the history of the rap scene down here, that Jeezy shit ain't like nothing like we've ever
Nah,
seen.
I agree.
Again.
Snowman was a whole nother level.
But people don't understand. People don't understand.
You know, when I hear people from other markets talk about Jeezy and the way they do, it's like, okay, but they really know him from First I'm Gonna Stack with Doe. That was, at that point, it was like, man, it was done at that point. Yeah.
You don't even know.
Yeah, yeah. But what Pastor Troy did was special. I will say that.
It was, but what I'm saying is how about this? Like, man, like I don't even know. Trapper Died too. I mean, Trapper Died.
Those
Trapper Died
mixtapes,
too.
man.
Like albums, like they're not even albums.
Yeah, you're right.
It was epic.
And
it was epic, dude.
And when the song like Last Time I Check, I Was the Man on These Streets would come on, you'd be like, whoa.
He would be showing up and doing shows, and it would be packed, and people would be chanting with him word for word, Mike, like he already had a rap deal, like he was already on TV. Like, people don't understand. That's what I mean. People understand. People were packed out chanting his shit word for word while he was on stage before a deal, motherfucker.
Listen, since you and I go back from this day, we can have this conversation, man. I remember those Friday nights. I remember those Friday nights at Dave and Buster's, man. Out there in Marietta, man, when the Dope Boys used to come out for real. And I remember when Jeezy used to come out there, man, shit was, listen, man, Atlanta was on, that was the BMF Atlanta.
Mike, I used to go to Visions.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to leave that right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit was real. And I think that there were a lot of people, who were living the life and who were, you know, benefiting from everything that came with the life that really identified with Jeezy, and he was the soundtrack to their lives at the time. Like, and the energy that all that was.
Mike, so I would be in Buckhead, like at a bar across the street, and I would be talking to like one of my homegirls or like a chick that she bought or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, we about to run across the street. Jeezy just bought the bar out." I'm like, Jeezy, like the rap dude, like the dude that over there performed.
Jeezy the rapper?
You know, this is before the deal, Mike.
Right.
This is before the deal. This is before L.A. Reid. This is before Jay-Z. Like, this is before all of that. Like, he just bought the bar out across the street. I'm like,
you know what?
I'm a young dude. I'm going with a chick car. I'm like going across the street. Like,
you can appreciate this, man. We were at Georgia State. Me and Ron. Shout out to Ron, man. We were young, man. Like, so we went to Strokers out there on the east side. Like in the middle of the day. I don't know why we were out there.
Amateur night? Hold on, Mike. Amateur night? Regular night?
It was like a regular day. Like, we didn't know what we were doing.
More fun, Mike. Should go for amateur night. That's what somebody
told me. So we were at Strokers, right? And then they just kept playing this guy, Jeezy, right? And then it was a CD on the table. And we like, yo, man, who's this Jeezy guy, man? She was like, and one of the strippers was like, oh, Jeezy, you know, whatever they said at that time, wasn't lit or was whatever. She was like, yo, Jeezy's that nigga, man. Every time, whenever he comes around, man, like, it's money everywhere. And I was like, okay, we took the CD, and next thing you know, man, Jeezy is. And I was at the radio station at the time, mind you. But this is before the radio got onto it.
This is what I mean. So he even changed like the strip club scene relationship with the DJs and getting your stuff on, because he was really the first dude. Like, you know, I mean, it's legendary, Mike. He come in and give the girls, DJ. He know everybody. He walking in putting his own money in, and the record getting played. And on top of it, Mike, I mean, here's the thing about it. The shit was actually dope.
It was dope.
It was
and
dope.
Then it became anthems, man. Like, And it
Yeah.
wasn't like typical strip club music, like "What's the Why You Twerk" or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So he came with some raps. He changed again. I saw how T.I. changed the Atlanta rap scene, and when Jeezy came through and changed the rap scene, man, that was something else. All right, we gotten way off course. All right, Goody Mob.
Nuh-uh, Clips.
Okay,
We've already covered Goody Mob. Clips.
Goody Mob Clips. Clips a top 10 group.
They are for me, but I mean, see, how about
Do you
this?
put
Like,
them over Little Brother? You know what I'm saying?
easy. It's not
Okay,
even a question for me. And I'm, like I said, Mike, I'm from the west
right.
side of Charlotte, east side of Atlanta. Like, I love Little Brother. I met Little Brother a long, long time ago before they were Little Brother. But
Where does Little Brother fall in any of this?
I mean, that depends on what you really think of their first project.
You don't like the listening? The listening was dope.
Like, I think it varies. Like, a lot of people, I guess, like the whole Tribe comparison and all that. I think the
I
Tribe
got you.
comparison hurt them, for one. I think the listening is solid. I don't love it. The Minstrel Show is great, obviously.
Did they have more of a Tribe comparison or more of a Slum Village comparison?
I'm not big on Slum the way a lot of other people are. They're cool to me.
Really?
They're cool to me.
I think Slum is a very interesting group because
They're interesting.
they've
Yeah.
had so much tragedy in their group and they've
That's
had to
what I
change
mean. It's
lineups
like
frequently.
I don't know. I see.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. I don't know if they. Yeah, it's
yeah.
some of it's an opportunity and like
I
unfortunate.
love Elzai. I think Elzai is one of the most incredible lyricists to come out in the past 20 years, in my opinion. I love Elzai, but I
I'm not
don't
going
think
to disagree
Elzai
with
was the
that.
best fit for Slum Village. And see, this is the thing. Like,
I
when I
agree.
got used to how
All
Slum
that.
Village sounded on Fantastic, everything after that was just so off course that I couldn't really get into it as much as I did that one. And when you lose Dilla, you lose the group. And that's a
Mike,
whole nother
Mike,
subject.
Mike. I don't think I've ever agreed with you more with anything that you've just said in sequence the way I just agree. I agree with everything that you just said wholeheartedly, completely.
I mean, I have this theory, man. It's unfortunate, but I remember back when, well, I don't, when you look back at certain groups in the early '90s, late '80s, or whatever, there was
Slums
a
in that
rapper
10
and
to
there was,
20.
huh?
Slums in that 10 to 20, probably.
Right, but I think Slum is in that category where you have a producer in your group. That's like if Little Brother, Ninth Wonder left, and Fonte and you know what I'm saying, and Big Pooh were trying to make an album without Ninth Wonder beats. You're not Little Brother anymore. If you don't have the producer, you're not that group anymore.
That's fair,
Everything
but
can
I mean,
change but
did,
that producer.
didn't KRS-One lose Scott LaRock once upon a time?
Allegedly, I mean, KRS was making those beats.
Here we go with that. Like, Scott LaRock was making most of those
We
beats.
don't know, man.
Okay.
Back in those days, everybody, like,
Here we
they
go.
just
Here
said
we
the
go.
group
Here we
produced the
go.
album. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't know. No one took credit for beats back then, which is so weird. And I don't know if it's because it was just so many samples going around. Nobody wanted to put their name on it, but they put the group's name on it. It'd be like produced by Boogie Down Productions.
Okay.
All right, let's look at De La Soul, right?
Yeah.
When Prince Paul stopped producing their albums, I mean, luckily they were able to get Dilla in his place, but
I
it
mean,
still wasn't the
you
same
know what,
group.
Mike?
They were a different group.
When you talk about the consistency, I do feel you with De La over Tribe on that sense, because when Tribe began to fade, De La was still like Stakes is High. Has Tribe began to fade, like didn't Beats, Rhymes, and Life and Stakes is High come out the same year?
Yeah.
Stakes is High
Yep.
is so much better than Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
Yeah. Not even close.
It's
Not
not even
even a
close.
conversation.
It's not even close. It's not even
And then,
close.
not to mention, they had, 3 other albums at that point.
What, Balloon Mind State, 3 Feet High and Rising.
And the best one, De La Soul is Dead.
De La Soul is Dead.
Balloon Mind State was dope. Balloon Mind State is slept on.
You want to know what, Mike?
Balloon Mind State broke the group up. Or not the group, but Prince Paul, but you know.
Ain't nobody thinking about that. They got pursuit notes. All right. All right, Andrew. All right. I mean, like I said, I'm a favor of the MCs. You want to know what, Mike? You've actually just convinced me. You know, and De La Soul is a top 10 group. They are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my apology.
And then, not to mention, Grande. Grande was dope.
It was.
I think
One
the
of those
only thing that was
that
iffy was
artificial
that
intelligence.
artificial intelligence.
No, that was all right. That had some
It
joints
was
on
all
it.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, in their
No.
catalog, it's low,
No.
but it's a
No.
good album still.
No, I just started thinking about what you said. Like, no, that's very valid. Mike, hold on. So how do you feel about the clips? Because here's how I feel. I feel like Lord Willing is a great album. I feel like Till the Casket Drops is a really great album. And I feel like Hell Hath No Fury is an all-time great album. And not many groups can say that. Like, I have them above EPMD. I have them over
Damn.
some Ghetto Boys, Dogtown. Like, yeah.
Ghetto Boys. I didn't mention them.
Hey,
by the
like,
way, Riding Dirty is killing, coming out hard right now.
I know it is. It's better, Mike. It's not much better, but it's better. It's better. It's better. It is.
Let me tell you the score right now. Hold on.
What's the score? Tell me the score. That's interesting.
I mean, I put it up like 9 minutes ago, but Riding Dirty has 235 votes. Coming Out Hard has 74 votes.
Yep, that's about how it should be, Mike. That's about how it should be. It should be about 3-1. Should be about 3-1.
It's not even going to be close.
Should be like 72 to 28.
All right. I'll fill you with the clips because I always thought that I was a little bit biased because I'm a huge Neptune fan, right? Love Pusha T. Me and Pusha T share the same birthday, May 13th.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Pusha T is actually one of my favorite rappers, period, actually.
I didn't know that about you either. I mean, you know, he's my guy, so like, you know.
I love Pusha T. And I just try not to express my bias. I love the Re-Up Gang.
Yep.
I was telling my guy, man. I was telling my guy Brandon, man. I was listening to
Griselda reminds me of the Re-Up Gang.
Definitely. I was listening to Illin by Jeezy featuring Clips.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously Pusha went crazy on there when he threw the shot at Wayne. But I was listening to Malice's verse and I was like,
verse is better.
It's something about Malice's verse, and no disrespect to Pusha, that sounds realer than Pusha's verses. You know what I mean? It sounds more vivid. It sounds it's more spiritual. He talks about the feeling, it's the regrets thing, like Jay-Z on Regrets. That's the feeling I get from Malice's approach to his subject matter.
So let me tell you what, like, that's the beautiful thing about Hell Hath No Fury. Like, on Lord Willing, they're both two hustlers. There's Big Brother and there's Little Brother. And actually, on Lord Willing, I actually think Malice is a better MC than Pusha T on Lord Willing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the second one. Yeah, Lord Willing, definitely Malice.
But on the second one, the second official one, Hell Hath No Fury, it's like Pusher is like got this villain bad guy shit down, and his delivery, it hasn't just gotten sick, it's gotten like all time. It's like hold on, like that's like Biggie, Method Man, Tupac like delivery type, great type like delivery, and he's being ruthless about it. But meanwhile, like, you start hearing like Malice having confessionals, like you start hearing Malice's regrets about bringing his brother into the game.
Yeah.
Hath No Fury. So it's like, it's almost like that. It's that dichotomy of the big brother with the sorrow and the regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Because his younger brother has just become so vicious and ruthless, and he's like kind of halfway like, what have I done? And
you know, when we first started hearing that was on that Pussy song that was on the Barbershop soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was on that I ain't in the cat gripping, I'm in the cat gripping, the back spitting. I was when I heard Push on there, I was like, yo, he sounds different. It's like, all I want to growing up was remote control. Now,
that was supposed to be on Hell Hath No Fury. It got leaked.
It should have been, yeah.
Yeah, it got leaked.
They put it on the soundtrack, though. I think it was on the Barbershop soundtrack.
Think about it. Even without that brilliant record, that album's still a classic.
Hey, cool. It says that we have 30 seconds remaining. So when we go off, we're going to jump back on and finish this conversation. But I just wanted to let you know before I cut us off.
But I have Clips High. I do have them in the top 10 when I'm looking at it. But yeah, we can get
Okay,
back
I
to
mean
it.
that makes
And
sense,
and I mean
man.
and I'm gonna be honest with you, Till the Casket Drops to me would have been another classic had they actually taken a couple of records off.
I agree. I love Doorman. I mean, I
Doorman's one
love
of
the
their
song
best
McCain.
records ever. I love Doorman.
Listen, I thought I was the only one that